At the North Face, it's never just a hike. Not if you're stuck on the same old trail. It's your chance to unearth a new kind of trail. Wide open and yours to define. An opportunity to become part of something bigger and wilder. What will you find out there? The North Face. Never stop exploring.
One crunchy bite of a Hershey's Cookies and Cream Bar, and I'm taken right back to college move-in day. I was a little overwhelmed by the newness of it all. Boxes were everywhere, I needed a break from unpacking. But just as I was able to take a breath and open my Hershey's Cookies and Cream Bar, my new roommate Rachel walked in. I offered her a piece, but she said no. Then after a beat, she said, "Actually, those are my favorite ones." We laughed. The ice was broken, and we've been friends ever since.
Hershey's. It's your happy place.
At first, I didn't think it was real. I woke up to this blinding light, and I was transported to another place. Pluto TV! Then I heard a voice.
Come with me if you want to live.
There were thousands of movies and shows, and they were all free.
The truth is ours.
It's just so beautiful.
On Pluto TV, free streaming of Terminator 2, Fringe, Arrow, The 100, and The X-Files may cause excitement, loss of sleep, and sudden belief in extraterrestrials. No credit cards or alien encounters necessary. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Skating Penguin Network. It is Robbie here. It is the evening of Wednesday, May 20th, and we are well into the Penguins portion of the offseason, and the NHL is preparing to begin its conference finals, actually just in a short while from when we were recording this episode. Out in Denver, the Colorado Avalanche and Vegas Golden Knights dropping the puck on the Western Conference Final, and in the East, it is Carolina coming off back-to-back sweeps, hosting the Montreal Canadiens, who are coming off back-to-back Game 7 series wins. So some exciting hockey to talk about. But before we dive into it, as always, joined by Snail out in the Pacific Northwest. And Snail, how are things going out there on your side of the country?
Beautiful. It's I can feel summer trickling in here. Like today, it's bluebird day, not even much of a breeze. Sun's hot. I was pressure washing my patio today, so that's the kind of things I'm up to. Right. Just in shorts and Crocs, no socks. That's how I was rolling today. So it's nice out here, man. We get these trees out here. They drop cotton, so it's the time of year where it looks like it's snowing. It's not really cotton. It looks like it. Yeah. So it actually always looks like it's snowing around this time of year. The streets will fill up with it. It's pretty interesting. And if you have allergies, RIP, because it's a brutal time for those with allergies. I fortunately don't. I'm superior to a lot of people because of that, my genes. So things are good though out here, man. I am curious, how are things out on the East Coast, the western portion of the East Coast, I should say. I always say out east in Western PA. How are things around Pittsburgh and in old Johnstown?
Well, it has certainly felt like summer early the first half of this week. We got up to 90 on Monday. 90 on Monday. And the funny thing of it is, on Saturday, it's going to be like 50 as a high. So we have like a 40-degree swing in like a 5-day period. Now we got a summer warm spell, an early summer warm spell. It was about 80 or about 90 on Monday, and then about 84 on Tuesday. And then today the rain rolled in, and it's mostly just been humid. And now the temperature's dropping as the weather rolls in here. So no, it was basically summer here for a couple of days, and it was definitely hot. That is for sure, especially when you were coming from like just normal spring temperatures in the 60s. It really it cranked up pretty quickly, so you didn't even have time to adjust. But other than that, things are good out here. It is Memorial Day is on Monday, so we're getting into that kind of like unofficial begin of summer this weekend. Not too much crazy going on, but if you are still tuned into hockey, at least for the big Penguins, the NHL Penguins, obviously we're in the off season now. Kyle Dubas did talk after we recorded our last episode, and I think he said some interesting things. It definitely sounds like there's obviously going to be some work done this offseason. We know that Connor Dewar is coming back for another 2 seasons actually. So that contract is done. It sounds like Evgeny Malkin. It's really just about sitting down and ironing out the details of him coming back. But other than that, I think there's going to be a trade. I said that before, and I'm going to stick by that. I think there's going to be a big trade for the Penguins, and who they
Just
target,
one?
I don't. At least one like blockbuster trade. Let's put it like that. I think they'll make multiple trades, but I think that there's going to be a big fish reeled in here come June, July. It's just a weird feeling I have. Who it is, I don't know, but it just the vibe I'm getting is they're not impressed with the free agent market like most people aren't. So Kyle Dubas and company are going to sit down and take a big swing somewhere to get a player who truly alters how they go forward, not just next season, but even post Crosby and into the future.
Yeah, and I think one of the key words you said there is, post Crosby. Crosby's got 2 more years.
Yeah.
All these contracts are kind of lining up, it seems like, with kind of I'm sure that, there's players they probably like to keep past the Crosby era, but, it's going to be a big reassessment of the team and the organization probably when he finally does either retire or, whatever he ends up doing. I feel like he will retire at the end of this contract. I think that he's got a standard for himself. And at the end of that, he's probably going to assess everything, and I would put money on it that he's probably going to just kind of, do a tour last year, kind of like Wayne Gretzky did.
Yeah,
and he'll be done. But the speculation for the trades is crazy because we've already been seeing things leaked out from several talking heads out there saying, look out for Mason Marchment. He's going to be linked to the Penguins all off season until July 1. I would probably also, that's almost like a guarantee there. I bet you Mason Marchment's going to end up in Pittsburgh. He fits he fits the age, what they need. He's like a better Bunting. He's like he's one of those types of players that they could really use. He could be versatile up and down the lineup. He could be a great third liner. He could play up on a first line if you got a physical opponent. I was actually, talking with a friend of the show, Brian, and we were bouncing some ideas of trade speculation, kind of who. I was going to pose this to you over text last night after I'd had about 3 beers, but I'm going to pose it to you now live on air. You think Letang gets moved?
If the opportunity presents itself, yes. And I don't know what moving pieces would have to happen. Because again, you have the full no trade clause. Like there's definitely hurdles that would have to be cleared. But I think the destination would be. There's maybe one team that I could see it happening with, and that is
it the Habs.
That's really the only team.
That's what Brian said too.
I just don't see him willingly. Again, I think it's going to have to be a team that can win a cup next year.
Oh, you think that he would only want to go to a contender?
Oh, there's no way at his age, he's going to go to a team like it's in a rebuild. I just don't see. Again, he can control so much of what happens. The only way I think it's not that, I think you could see him on the West Coast. I think he has the vibe of a West Coast guy. So that I would say Anaheim or even San Jose. And I know San Jose is not like contend tomorrow, but that's clearly a team that is ready to take a next step next season. Anaheim, they're going to build off that experience. They're going to be back. I think they're going to be a team you're talking about as a dark horse, like maybe Western Conference final contender next year out there. Another team, I don't know if he would do it, but it kind of has the weather of like Quebec, and that would be the Utah Mammoth.
I could see the Mammoth too sniffing on him. My theory is this. I think that he goes to Vancouver. I think there's an option there for Vancouver. And for me personally, this is what I told friend of the show, Brian. I said that, you know, as the Penguins, Letang is a legacy player, but like with the way that the league kind of is now, if you want to move off a player like that with the no move, with the no trade, it's a lot of hurdles to jump through. If you're going to get Letang, and with all due respect in the world to what he's meant to the organization, but this team is going in a different direction. And Dubas in that presser, he talked about, this guy, I don't want to put him in the same category as like a Vegas where he's going to be ruthless, but I think that we saw it with the Gensel trade. He's going to not be afraid to really put his what's in the wheelbarrow and say, we have to make a change here. We have to go a new direction. And obviously, you're not going to move on from Karlsson. Karlsson under Dan Muse is back to, when there was chatter of Norris consideration, maybe Norris votes, obviously not a clear-cut winner, but Karlsson's he's your guy until his contract's done. With a guy like Letang, Robbie, would you be kind of content with maybe not maxing out as much on a return, but just getting that contract and freeing up that slot in the lineup for whatever you can it's not about the return. It's about making Letang happy, getting the money off the books and moving that contract. My theory is, and this theory would have stood up a lot firmer had Jim Rutherford still been at the helm. He had just recently stepped down. But I was thinking he goes to Vancouver where they need a little bit of leadership. They need a guy like Letang. They could use that D-man back there. But then they flip him at the deadline. They give up peanuts for him. He rides out the season being the good consummate pro that he is. And then I could see Vancouver going, we're rebuilding. Let's flip him for a first to a contender. Like, you never know. Tampa Bay, let's say Hedman's out or banged up. They need a puck mover for a cup run. They go out and get Letang, pay a first for him like they do every year for whatever they need. Florida, the Habs might be more in that position. Coming off of whatever they do this year in the playoffs, the Habs might be looking to just run it back. But after a long season, injuries happen. They might be looking for a D-man, and they go, hey, we'll give up a first-rounder for Letang. He's going to have like a year left on his deal or whatever. Let's bring him for a cup run in one more year in his hometown and see how that goes. That's my theory. That's my galaxy brain theory. I'm never right about this stuff, but that's what I mulled over after a few beers last night.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only just getting the contract off the books. Like, if he was still producing offensively at a level that was acceptable, then you kind of are okay with swallowing the defensive lapses. But the problem is, like, the offense doesn't outweigh the mistakes anymore. And I think that is like, okay, you get that contract off the books, and then you also just simply improve your blue line as well. Like, you obviously the money is a big thing, but like allowing his defensive partner was who most of the year? I can't even.
Gerard.
Yeah.
Well, at the end it was Gerard.
Well, Gerard.
Before that,
yeah, but like again, Gerard is not a good compliment for Letang because they play so similarly. But being able to get being able to get a actual defenseman with Samuel Girard, like a defensive blue liner, that would obviously open up that spot and would be very important for what the Penguins hope to do next season. So I'm very interested to see how they handle that this summer, because I think, again, there's a lot of leverage in Letang's corner, but I think the Penguins and Kyle Dubas, you can do it without bruising too many egos. I think there's a way that you can navigate it smoothly. Again, there's always probably going to be there's always going to be people that are concerned about like damaging the reputation of Letang's eyes. I don't think it's about that, because I think you can honor Letang and what he's done for Pittsburgh while also moving on. I don't think you have to choose one or the other. And yeah, whatever that entails, I don't know exactly how that deal would work, but I think there is a path to getting it done, and it's going to require, one, the Penguins sacrificing some return, obviously. Like, that is, you're just going to have to accept that. And two, you're going to have to work with Letang on getting the destination right. I think if you can get one of the cup contenders or up-and-coming teams to at least talk and offer something, I think you can convince Letang to maybe maybe look into it. Maybe say, hey, Montreal, I think is obvious. Like, again, everybody's going to point to Montreal. It seems so obvious because he's from Quebec. He's fluent in French. He's a French Canadian.
His former GM his former agent's the GM.
Yeah, like it's clearly what it seems like it fits perfectly. But maybe, who knows? Maybe Minnesota. Maybe Bill Guerin, old friend of the Penguins, of the franchise. Bill Guerin comes a calling, and he's a compliment to Hughes on the blue line. So who knows? I do think they're going to. I think they're going to explore about anything. I think if somebody calls and you talk to Letang and the opportunity presents itself, it would not surprise me if Letang is no longer a Penguin when we get to camp in September.
Wouldn't be shocked. But when you brought up the trade thing, are you still thinking it's Robertson, even though he's is he an RFA?
I'm not sure exactly. I don't know if it's Robertson. I think I don't really know if I can pin down one specific player, because like every time I think about like Robertson, then I'm like, man, what if they could get Matthews? Like, what if it could be Matthews? What if it could be Robert Thomas? I
like Matthews. I just don't want him being the captain, because I don't think he's a captain.
He's not going to be the captain.
He needs to just do what he does in the shadows, which is
just score goals, man. Just score goals. I every time I talk myself into someone, another name pops into my head, and I don't really know where. Like Robertson, like jumps out. Like obviously, he's going to be the big name, but like again, there would be no bigger name on the market than Austin Matthews. Like if they would come out and say Matthews were listening to calls, he would be the biggest name by far. And hey, you never know what Kyle Dubas would have in store. I believe Matthews has some control over where he would go. So maybe he'd want to reunite with Kyle Dubas. I don't know. But I think there's just a lot of options out there for the Penguins to explore. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens, because there's a lot can happen. There's just a lot of avenues for Dubas to navigate here. So I'm just going to be very interested to see how exactly he approaches this offseason once everything winds down.
Absolutely. And if we're talking big trades, you're going to have to give up decent assets for these. And I think there's one player I think we should talk about who's slowly entering that absolute no zone, and that would be Bill Zonin. He got his AHL debut in the playoffs, and Robbie, I think he's a goal a game since he's been a pro, since he's gone pro.
He did. He scored in game 1, he scored in game 2, and he has scored in game 3 of the Penguin series, the baby Penguin series against the Springfield Falcons in the AHL playoffs. And let me tell you, the first 2 goals, like he plays the number represents the way he plays the game. He wears Patrick Hornquist's old number.
Is he 72?
He's 72 down in Wilkes-Barre. And he plays a Patrick Hornquist type game with, I think, a little more east-west ability.
A little more skill.
A little more skill. He took a feed from Boko Imama in game 3 on Tuesday night and just wired one past the Springfield goaltender for what turned out to be the game-winning goal. So like Zonin, again, there was high expectations. There always is when you're a first-round pick. But Zonin had a great year. And again, a lot of people I did see people asking this, was there anti-Zonin bias, or like did he drop in the first round because of an anti-QM JHL bias that is kind of spreading throughout the league a little bit? It seems like the Q doesn't get the hype that it used to. It's kind of fallen on the wayside. Everybody focuses on the WAHL, which again, you can't argue against that. The WAHL is producing great talent. So is the O. It always has. But what we're seeing out of Bill Zonin through 3 games is basically exactly what you wanted to see out of a guy like that. And a guy, that's why you drafted him. And I think that now, like, again, 3 games, nothing, obviously a small sample size. But I think come September, he's going to be a guy we're wondering if he gets the he wouldn't get the Ben Kindle treatment, because he's going to either go in the AHL or the NHL. But a guy that we're talking about, like, could we see him playing NHL games right out of the gate next year?
Everything he's doing tells me, yeah, he probably will be getting his 9 games regardless of what happens at camp.
There is no 9 games next year for him. He's going to the AHL or the NHL.
Oh, so then, yeah, I guess he's going to get NHL games.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just pitch right away. Like, is he going to perform well?
I guess it won't matter how camp goes then.
Yeah. If he shows up in camp and just is he going to be on? Is he going to pull? Is he going to just be on the team right away? Or is he going to go and get some more seasoning down in the AHL? But I mean, you cannot hate what you see through 3 pro games. He just stepped in and was playing like a guy that's been doing it his whole life. So Bill Zonin has completely just his. I sent you the text this morning, the meme of the Stonks guy, Stonks all the way up on Bill Zonin, and I mean the Penguins have to be thrilled by what we're seeing.
In business, there's no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. When you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on. Because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else: your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS, official shipping sponsor of the NHL. In business, there's no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. When you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on. Because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else: your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS, official shipping sponsor of the NHL.
Oh, I'm sure Dubas is just rubbing his hands together watching those games. Like, I mean, did they have 3 first rounders?
Yeah, Will Horkoff was the third.
He was the third one then, right? So, I don't know, man. Will Horkoff had a pretty good year in Michigan this year, but he's gonna marinate a little bit longer, I think, in college. But it's that year. This year might go down as, I mean, we got a long way to go till we see this, but in 10 years, you might be looking back at this draft as like the opposite of that Bruins draft where they had 3 first rounders and they got basically, I think Jake DeBrusk was the only one that really turned into an NHL player. It's the opposite of that, where they're going to get 3 dudes in the first round that weren't in the top 10. They got 3 picks in that first round, and they're all going to be contributors at the NHL level. I'm excited for this Bill Zonin. I like his swag out there. He's kind of got a little swagger to him. I like the style of game, like you said, Patrick Hornquist, like straight lines with a little skill. And I mean, you know, he's out there with I've noticed at least on 2 of the 3 goals, he's out there with Boko Imama. And is Boko Imama going to get some? I want to see him get a chance next year too. There's a bunch of guys next year that it's going to be interesting. This his name's Mikel Ilian, I believe. He's getting a look right now with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, and I guess he looks good too. So
he does. Yeah, he came over from Russia. It took some time, but he has the looks of a guy that, again, he has pro experience from Russia as well. So he's definitely,
or what do they call it? KHL,
yeah. And he has the looks of a very, like, I mean, he is skilled. Like, he is a skilled winger, and he has played very well for Wilkes-Barre since coming over. So another name. I think he was a 5th-round pick a couple years ago. So a guy that is looking like he is going to be right in the mix of things in training camp as well.
Just a lot of lottery tickets down there that are starting to kind of pop and give you some hope for the future, the immediate future and the not and kind of the distant future. But yeah, man, the Penguins or the baby Penguins are rolling. I believe they're up what 2-1 on Springfield right now.
Yeah, they're up 2-1. They can close it out on Thursday night in Game 4.
Where are you at with Rutger?
He scored a shorty in Game 3. First goal made it 1-0. Nice play there. I don't know where I'm at with Rutger. I still would like to see him get more of an extended run at the NHL level. I just think that sometimes I think maybe right now he's just a quad A player. Like he's just too good for the AHL, not good enough for the NHL. Mm-hmm. But I would like to see him get an extended run in a scoring role. Again, we'll see where the openings in the lineup are come like mid-July once everything kind of sorts itself out with trades and drafts and free agency and stuff like that. But no, I mean, yeah, I'd like to see him with some skilled players around him. I'd like to see him play with like a Chinnikov or a third line with Kindle for an extended run, just because I think that like he needs a guy, like he's not the playmaker. He needs a guy that's going to be able to be like is going to be able to get him the puck. And I think a guy like Chinnikov can do that. I think a guy like Kindle can do that. I think he's too skilled for a fourth line role. So like, yeah, I'd love to see him be with a pure playmaker, which is why I think down the AHL he succeeds so much is because down there's a little bit more space, a little more time, and guys around him can kind of wheel and deal a little bit more. And all you got to do is get the shot is not the problem. No, it's just getting him the puck. And when the puck is on his stick, he's not afraid to shoot it. It's just all about somebody getting him the puck because he's not the kind of guy that necessarily creates on his own. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think he just needs to be with the right skill level of player that can distribute and get him the puck because he can get it in the net. It's just about being able to get the puck on his stick to begin with.
That's a good point. Yeah, he's definitely I don't think he's that much of like a checking third line kind of defensive minded forward. Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure camp will be interesting coming up this year. Yeah. I've been a little concerned from him. I think it's just mainly because I don't really see that like super like high end sort of guy you kind of thought you're getting, you know? Yeah. I mean, it was Braden Yeager for him 1-for-1. It's not like he was a part of the Gensel deal where you're thinking we need like a Gensel replacement here. That kind of falls more on Koivunen and anyways, that's a different conversation. But you know, I haven't seen that like, you know, World Juniors player in the AHL or at the NHL level. He's got some goals in the NHL. He's got some goals in the American League, but I guess I was racking my brain about it, maybe just a little concerned about maybe not seeing what I'm hoping, but give him the benefit of the doubt. He's still young. He didn't enter the year healthy, and he's going to get all the opportunity to push through in camp this fall.
Yeah, again, it's going to be really interesting to see just where the depth chart lines up after the bulk of the summer goes, because I think you'll get an idea of where like Dubas sees like some of these young guys. Obviously, Kindle, we know he's going to be a fixture for a long time. Kindle's solved that problem. Avery Hayes, we talked in the last episode. I think Avery Hayes is your Noah Charia replacement. I think that's perfect. I think it'd be miserable to play against when Dewar and Lizotte are alongside him. That would be a miserable fourth line experience for the Penguins. I think it would be fantastic for just making hell for opponents. Your first line that, like, again, I'm not sold that a guy like Raquel is not going to be shipped out this summer. I'm not sold that Mantha we know is probably gone. Kyle Dubas it did not sound like Mantha is going to be back, and that's completely fine. Chinnikov is more important than Mantha, obviously, for obvious reasons. But I think that they're going to look at moving a guy like Raquel, even if the deal doesn't materialize. I would not be shocked if Raquel is gone this offseason. So it's just going to be interesting to see where things line up in terms of in terms of where the depth chart stands and see where you could plug in a McGroarty, a Hayes, a Ilian, a Zonin, stuff like just to see where those guys could potentially plug in come the beginning of the season.
Can't wait for that, man. It'll be really interesting once we get through all this playoff nonsense that we're going through right now and get back to the real stuff, which is trade rumors.
I guess the Penguins. I guess the Penguins can't really do any trading right now. I mean, their two farm systems are still battling away. Wheeling is in the Eastern Conference Final as well, and my understanding is Taylor Gauthier is the AHL goalie next season, from what I've heard from some people. Okay. Meaning, obviously, Sergei Murashov would be one of the NHL goalies. I think it sounds like Gauthier is going to make that jump next year. He's clearly the best goalie in the ECHL. I think it's pretty quite obvious that is.
He's dominated the league.
Yeah, he's just dominating in the ECHL. But they are on to their conference final where he'll continue playing. And then you have Murashov obviously looking ready to move up. He's been fantastic for Wilkes-Barre as well. And
Murashov's NHL ready right now.
I mean, you have an NHL goalie playing in the AHL playoffs. That's kind of what happened last year with Shilovs. Shilovs was his NHL goalie playing in the AHL. Shilovs had some up and downs this year, but like clearly an NHL goalie. He's going to be with the Penguins next year. Was really good for them in the playoffs when he stepped in. Got them to push it to 6 games. And, I mean, that is kind of where we're at there. So we'll see how that all kind of pans out here in the next couple weeks. But we'll just talk about the NHL in general now. And we're at the conference finals. What a series between Montreal and Buffalo. That was chaos. That was just two teams that did not want to lose. And Montreal, man, they just find a way to win hockey games. It does not seem to matter what the other team does, how good they're playing. Dubas has just stood tall in goal, and they find a way to score goals when they matter. And credit them for going on the road after losing Game 6 twice. They've had a chance to clinch 2 series at home inside that pressure cooker of Bell Center. They've lost both and then bounced back for Game 7 wins on the road. But is Carolina too much? I don't know. I think Montreal, there is a path to beating them, but Carolina is just an absolute buzzsaw.
They are, but the one thing I'll tell you is that this Dobish kid is he's pretty good. And Freddie Anderson has been probably the best goalie in the playoffs, considering they've only had to play 8 games. But we all know Freddie Anderson, man. Like, that guy can take a bump and disappear for like a week. You know, he's been inconsistent in the postseasons in the past. I think that with Carolina's system, it won't mean anything if they don't get goaltending. And Freddie Anderson's got to keep doing whatever he's doing, keep on his program, whatever his program has been, because he's been lights out. But yeah, I think that if the goaltending for the Canes fails them, Montreal,
there's
no reason why they wouldn't be able to put up goals on this team, you know?
I think
they get their chances.
And again, Carolina has not been tested yet this postseason, and they have not been put against the wall and kind of just forced to be the better team. Philadelphia got 1 game to overtime. 2 games to overtime, actually. But, like, Philly never threatened them. Ottawa certainly never threatened them, really, outside of that 1 game that Olmark almost stole. So, like, if Montreal can just find a way to win 1 game in Carolina and just get that thing back to Montreal at 1 apiece, like, make them at least sweat for it at some point. I just don't see – I think Carolina does enough to win that series. I just think Montreal, again, they've played 14 games. They've played the max, and they have to be getting a little burnt out. Luckily, Carolina is not the most physical team in the world. They can, again, they do skate hard. They do make you work for it, but I think they're a little easier on the body. And Freddie Anderson's the big question mark. He's been good so far, hasn't really been tested all that much. But if old Freddie Anderson returns and Dubas plays the way he has, I think that's a wide open series that can be there for the taking if Montreal can actually take advantage.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because also look, we're talking about a team that crumbles in the Eastern Conference final every year for how many years now?
Yeah.
It seems like they're probably the runaway favorite. Not probably, they would be the runaway favorite over the Habs. They've had 12 days off, rust versus rest argument. Ultimately, it's going to depend on Freddie Anderson, like we've stated clearly. But this is also a team that has found ways to lose.
Yeah.
They've been swept in the Eastern Conference final before. Multiple times.
Yeah.
I mean,
they had a 10-game losing streak in the conference final at one point.
Which, I mean, is this year different? I don't know. Are we crazy for just being like, oh, they're the favorites? And it's just, if they get swept again, or if they lose in 5 or 6, we're going to look silly for being like, yeah, they just can't win when it gets crunch time. This year's been a breeze for them.
That's what I mean. Like, if it doesn't happen now, is it ever going to happen?
No, I don't think. If it's not this year, then I don't know. Not that
you got Ottawa and then a Philly team who was completely out of their depth at that point in the first 2 rounds. You have not lost yet. You've had more days off than
games
you had
played.
You've had double the days off as you've had games played so far since the playoffs started. If it is not this year, it's just never going to happen.
It's not. You're not supposed. They just weren't supposed to.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen if you can't do it this year. And hey, the onus is on them. Then again, you have the home ice. You have a team that is tired. You are well rested. You got to do the thing at some point, or you might as well just stop showing up. And
I mean, yeah. If you look out west too, I mean, I think that it seems like it's been a collision course of the Canes and the Avs going to meet in the Stanley Cup final. But if it's not if Colorado finds a way to lose this series to Vegas and you're the Canes and you lose this Eastern Conference final, there was your chance to win a cup. Like, I don't know if the path will get any easier for you at any other point. So yeah, just to the same point, the same drum we've been beating here. It's if they can't, we're gonna see. First game, I wouldn't be shocked if they lose game 1. I don't think they're sweeping this series.
No, I don't think. Montreal's too good. Montreal is by far the best team they played. I think either Buffalo or Montreal could have given them a very difficult time. He could have definitely given them issues, and will give them issues. Montreal's still obviously the team they'll be facing, but. Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't happen this year, I mean, just pack it up. I just don't know what's going to happen at that point. But you mentioned the West, and I'm sorry, Vegas. I just don't.
You don't see it happening?
5 games.
5 games.
Colorado's just they were down 3-0 in game 5 against Minnesota, facing the possibility of having to go back on the road for a game 6. And they never felt like that game was. It never felt like that game was over. It just never. Colorado just never felt like they were just going to let it go easily, and they didn't. Nate McKinnon picking that shot over Wallstad's shoulder, and then winning it in overtime. I just don't think. I just don't know if Vegas. There's no Vegas. If Carter Hart plays even remotely like he has in the first 2 rounds. Their skill has luckily carried them through 2 rounds. They were just better than who they play in the first round. Utah, just better, more experienced than Utah, better and more experienced than Anaheim. But this is a Colorado. Like you said, it's felt destined for a while now. I feel like it's felt destined that Colorado wins the Cup for a while now, and I just don't think they have. Vegas has a lot of skill and a lot of experience, but they don't have the skill to match up with Colorado over 7 games. I just don't see it. I think the Avalanche in 5, and that should about wrap that up nice and easy.
You don't think the Cale Makar injury handicaps them very much?
The team's just so deep.
That's true.
If he's out for, let's say, the first 2 games, then maybe you start to worry a little bit. But again, it depends on how they play in the first 2 games. If they show up in game 1 later tonight and then just blow Vegas out of the building, they're just that good. I think tonight, Vegas, without Makar, you might argue they have to win that hockey game. But again, Colorado passed their hardest test yet. They beat a good Minnesota team in 5 games. rather convincingly. And now they get a Vegas team which benefits a lot from the Pacific Division, a weaker schedule. And again, they're battle tested. Mitch Marner's been playing out of his mind. LOL Toronto. But
Conn Smythe winner right now if it was handed out today.
If Vegas does full around and win the Cup, I think that he obviously is the Conn Smythe winner.
Leads the NHL in points, has a highlight reel goal.
Though I will say they screwed Phil Kessel out of the media screwed Phil Kessel out of a possible Conn Smythe after leaving Toronto. Would not surprise me if they screw Mitch Marner out of a Conn Smythe should they find a way to win that. But I just think Colorado's too good. And I want to see Carolina and Colorado, I think. Like, those are the two best teams. Give me a 7-game series of those two teams just trying to figure each other out.
I'm all for it, man. Ultimately, just, we want game 7s, I think. But like, I'm also kind of in the mindset of like, let's wrap this thing up, man. Let's get the Cup handed out and let's get to the off season so that we can start really having some content to talk about. And that is going to be lots of trade talk, signings. That's what I'm hungry for right now, man.
When the Penguins won the Cup in 2016, 2017, the game 1 of the Stanley Cup final was on Memorial Day. Both years.
No way. Was it really?
Both years. Yes. The Stanley Cup final, I do not believe, can begin until like the 4th of June.
Yeah. Then
you're looking at mid-June by the time the season's over, and they go right into the draft. Like, it doesn't it's constant then, but like, I mean, it feels like the playoffs have literally been going on forever now. Like, it literally feels like they've been going on for like 2 months now.
It does. Since COVID, man, these years it's been interesting when things finally do wrap up. It's kind of been interesting in a way that it feels like hockey's kind of nonstop until you're in it. Then once you hit the dog days of summer, you go, I'd do anything for a preseason game right now.
Oh yeah. Come like end of July, early August, we're going to be like, could really use. That's when you get deep down the YouTube rabbit hole of
highlights. That's when you start rewatching games from.
Why am I watching this game from 1985 featuring the Quebec Nordiques and the New York Islanders for some reason?
Exactly. That's when you're really deep.
When you're like watching, like it looks like it was recorded on a potato, like.
But I love it. I get my phone out and I go, I didn't know that. This player played for that team.
You forget. Yeah, you forget even like the cup years. Like, I forget little stuff that happened in those games. You go back and watch and you're like, man, I completely forgot about that goal or that play or something like that. I completely forgot about little stuff that happens. And
when I start going down these rabbit holes, who I feel like there's two players that always pop up, and this is like, I don't know, maybe like NHL Hall of Good players, but you never realize. I feel like I always hear P.A. Parenteau and I hear Dominic Moore.
P.A. Parenteau is actually a really big pull. I always wanted Parenteau to come to the Penguins.
Me too.
Who else did you say?
Dominic Moore, who was a Penguin.
Moore, yeah, I mean, Dominic Moore, his brother Steve Moore, infamously was the guy that was punched in the back of the head by Todd Bertuzzi. There was another guy. Who else was I thinking of the other day? Oh, I did not realize this, and this is a draft thing we'll talk about later. Projected first-round pick is Matt Cullen's son.
No way.
And he
is already? The kid's playing mini sticks that was Phil Kessel for Christmas that one year?
Yes, he is draft eligible and a potential first-round pick, and a lot of people think that is a guy the Penguins will be looking at.
Anything to bring Matt Cullen back into the fold.
Yeah, but there was another name I was trying to think of, and I can't remember who. Oh, a guy that's going to be like a P.A. Parenteau in about 5 years is J.G. Pajot.
J.G. Pajot, dude, yeah, totally.
There was a guy also that played for the Islanders. This was a while ago. It was just unbelievably fast. He was one of the fastest skaters I've ever seen. I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but you
Michael
say
Grabner.
Yes. Killed the Penguins because he was so fast.
He was the empty net king of his I think he had 20 goals one year, and it was like he had 15 empty net goals.
He was basically like a Carl Hagelin type player.
Yes,
Hagelin Hagman scored with the goalie in occasionally. No, Grabner scored all those empty netters because they just flick it down ice and he would outskate literally everyone. I really thought he would be in Pittsburgh at one point. He was another guy. I think he went to Detroit then for a little while. Just
Grabner
absolutely.
I
can look at it. I actually have something else.
He was in Toronto at one point. He played for the Islanders, and Grabner also played for. Dude,
he played for the Rangers, Devils.
He was a big Northeast guy.
Yeah, he was in Vancouver for a short stint before going to New York.
I remember him in Vancouver.
Yeah, he was
also a funny trivia question. This could be a trivia thing. He actually has the Olympics, like the rings tattooed on his back, but he never played in the Olympics.
Was he supposed to go to the Olympics one year?
Jumped the gun maybe and didn't make the roster. I don't know, but
Austria,
he's got a huge back tattoo of the Olympic rings, but he never played in the Olympics.
That's quite odd, I guess. He did score 6 shorthanded goals one year against or when he played for the Coyotes.
That's right. The Coyotes is the red team. I'm remembering him.
Yeah. He scored 6 shorthanded. Again, he was a shorthanded wizard too because they would enter and he could just get up ice so quick. Grabner was a guy that another one that like I think I hear that name every once in a while. I'm like, oh yeah, he was like him.
When you start going down those YouTube rabbit holes, his name inevitably pops up.
Yeah,
he was on a team.
A more recent name. I just think when I think of fast players, Andreas Antanastisou was absolutely like shot out of a cannon every time he went up ice. Another guy that I thought the Penguins are going to look at back a few years ago that never
is he still in the league?
If he is, he's playing for like Andreas. It says he. No, he didn't play anywhere this year. He did not play in the NHL this year. He played 8 games for the Blackhawks last year. If he was anywhere, he was playing. Let me see here.
He's so fast and he could kind of score. I just always felt like there would be a spot for him in the NHL.
Oh, he was just ridiculously fast, like shockingly fast.
Didn't they call him like Greek Lightning or something like that?
I'm sure he is Canadian, but yes, he is definitely.
There's definitely some Greek in there.
He has some Greek heritage. He's a free agent. He's not playing anyway. Not even on an AHL roster right now.
That's insane. I mean, I'd sniff around on that guy even just to have as a depth piece. I'd take him over. No offense. Like I think Kevin Hayes was great for the room this year, but a guy with speed like that, you'd keep him around as a 13th or as a 14th forward or something.
Yeah, he was lightning. He was shot out of a cannon every time he went up ice too. Again, maybe we're gonna have to sit down this year at some point and just remember some some of the YouTube rabbit hole OGs, like some of the guys that you hear that you're watching back and you hear like, oh yeah, I remember P.A. Parento. I remember Franz Nielsen.
Nielsen. We should do like a segment this summer, just like random player of the week, and just bring up like wax poetic about like a player that you just for some reason always know, like you're always hearing his name. He's always following you around on like YouTube rabbit holes and stuff. Maybe we do something like that.
You come with one, I'll come with one, and we just kind of riff on that. Zach Boychuk.
That's an interest. Did he play for the Canes?
Yeah, he played for a bunch of. I think he was with the Penguins for a hot minute too.
There weren't very many Boychuks, so you always remember.
Yeah, Zach Boychuk played 1 season with the Penguins. He went to he was in Carolina a bunch of different times. He kind of bounced all over the place, and now I think he's like a crypto bro or something like that. Last I saw,
dude, you know who I saw behind the bench for the Habs talking about random players was Stefan Robidas.
That's pretty random. I'll give you another random one. Kyle Turris.
Kyle Turris, I always thought was going to be a Penguin, and he was one of those. I think he was one of those early like Zegras type skill players, but the league wasn't ready for them.
Not yet. I get that vibe as well. I definitely get that vibe as well. Yeah, he was definitely just a little too early.
He was too early. There was a couple other players that were like that too, where they came in. Maybe first round picks or whatever. It didn't even matter where they went in the draft, and they had like unreal skill, but maybe they weren't trusted as a top 6 player, and they weren't built to play a bottom 6 role, and they kind of jumped around. Turris played for like Maple Leafs, Senators, Minnesota, Edmonton. Like he played all over Canada, I think. And
he played for a bunch of different Canadian teams.
I think he did, didn't he?
Let's see. He played.
Definitely played for Ottawa.
He played for, I believe. Yes. No, he started in Phoenix.
Phoenix.
He went to Ottawa, went to Nashville for a little bit, and then retired with the Oilers.
Okay, so he didn't play for the Leafs then. But I remember when he was on Nashville, that was like kind of a big get for them.
That was a big trade. That was a part of that somehow involved Bobby
Duchesne?
Ryan.
Oh, Bobby Ryan.
Bobby Ryan or Matt Duchesne. It was somehow, when I can look at his transaction history here, I have his page up. He was traded by the Coyotes to Ottawa, which he traded a part of a 3-team trade by the Senators to the Predators. The Colorado Avalanche sent Matt Duchesne to the Senators.
Okay, it was Duchesne.
The Ottawa Senators sent Shane Bowers, a first-round draft pick. It's turned into Bowen Byram, Andrew Hammond, who was the goalie, the Hamburglar.
The Hamburglar?
Yeah, and a third-round pick to the Colorado Avalanche. The Nashville Predators sent Sam Girard, a second-round pick, which turned into Philip Hollander, who now plays for the Penguins.
Wow.
And where else? I just saw it. I went away from it. But yeah, Philip Hollander and a prospect to the Avalanche. So yeah, he has
earth-shattering trade.
So the Penguins actually were involved in got involved in this. I think they ended up trading for the pick that got Hollander then or something. I don't remember exactly.
Hollander ended up with the Leafs for a bit.
But I think Turris had to retire because of concussions, if I remember correctly.
That's a bummer. He was a skilled guy.
He was.
Hollander, he's going to be one of those random players.
I think he's going to be a guy that's pushing for a roster spot in Pittsburgh next year too.
He would have had a roster spot if it wasn't for the blood clot, right? Because he was great in a defensive role.
Yeah,
he had a goal. I remember I think he had a pretty sick goal. If I'm thinking of preseason, that sucks, but I swear he had some good shifts out there. I remember until the blood clot thing happened. But
yeah,
he's a guy too. Like, I mean, I don't know where you find a spot for him in the bottom six, but he might have even gotten a look in the top six, maybe for a game or two. But yeah, he's going to be a guy that he's going to be competing for a spot. And Dubas didn't go out and bring him back from overseas for nothing, you know.
No, that's right. He did leave for a little while too.
Well, him and Sully, Sully didn't like any of the young guys that the Penguins had.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, man. But yeah, dude, we're gonna have to do some because that's the stuff I feel like as hockey fans that like you and I are like we could wax about random players and this guy played for that team. Like that's like right up our alley.
Absolutely. But it's about all I got for now, guys. The Western Conference Final will begin tonight. I'm just going to push this episode right out for everybody right away. So, Snail, do you have anything you want to touch on before we wrap this up?
I don't, man. Let's go watch this playoff game.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the way that the NHL runs their clocks, this game probably has another 10 minutes before it actually begins.
I could go to the bathroom before.
You can definitely. You could probably order dinner and go get it real quick if you needed to. But no. So yeah, for Snail, I'm Robbie. We'll talk to you guys here soon. Enjoy the conference finals, and we'll be back here not long to discuss where they're at, and hopefully the baby Pens and the Nailers are still going out as well. So for Snail, I'm Robbie. You guys have a good rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon.